Would some honourable member care to move that the House take note of miscellaneous business?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Andrew Little.
Once upon a time, Mr. Speaker, they used to say that John Key's moral compass was broken. And it now turns out that he never had one at all.
That's right.
And of course, it's no longer just his moral failure. It is the entire moral failure of that national government and every backbencher that supports
Order.
him. You see, it's not just the Prime Minister anymore. Even the Finance Minister, Bill English, this master of small government, who cannot face up to the real challenges of young New Zealanders who are desperate for opportunities and to get a job, he just writes them off. This is a dreadful, shabby little government that has nothing to offer the future of New Zealand and New Zealanders. And so we now see the real world of John Key being opened up for all of us to see. A world that was never shown to New Zealand until now. You see, once upon a time, we all thought John Key was this easygoing, charming, affable sort of leader, man of the people, man for everyone. But he's not, because we know who his friends are, we know who he associates with, we know who he takes his advice from, and it is those who live in that world of enormous, of extraordinary, of just plain mega wealth, who will do everything they can, take all the advice they can from the high-paid lawyers and accountants to avoid their civic obligation, to avoid paying the taxes that they should pay. We live in the developed world. We are lucky to have a country, like many others around the world, that has a good, developed education system, that has a good health system, apart from the slops they serve up around our health system at the moment, that has good roads, that has peace and security. But you see, the history of the last 30 years, that around the world this community has been growing of people who no longer respect that, no longer respect our histories of those countries, and are greedy, and who see their job, their mission in life is to avoid wherever they can from contributing to it, from taking those steps that help the next generation through. And that's now what drives that government, or at the very least, the leader of it. And it is hopeless. It is hopeless for them, it is hopeless for us, it is hopeless for all New Zealand. You know, most New Zealanders wondered why, in their kind of usual genteel way, that when we heard about the big multinational corporates like Facebook and Google, who come here with massive trading revenues but pay little or no tax, that the Prime Minister's response was, whoa, it's legal, shrug the shoulders, nothing to see here. And then faced with the reports of this country now paying host to 12,000 special trusts that allow the mega wealthy of the world to avoid paying tax in their own countries, that he shrugs his shoulders, says this is good for us. We get legal fees and accountants' fees, and that's all he cares about. And the rest of New Zealand were in shock, because we thought we had a good reputation. We thought we were a country driven by good, healthy, wholesome values, that if you work hard, you get ahead, that you pay your way, you make your contribution, and you help the next generation come through, because that's what we've always stood for. Not that government. They have sided themselves with the world's greedy and the mega wealthy who just want to avoid their civic obligations, their civic responsibilities. And it's not just the Prime Minister anymore, because you see, I haven't heard a single National Party MP in the last week or 10 days stand up and say, this is wrong, this is wrong, we are a better people than this, where is our morality? Not a single National Party MP, and they are all tainted, Mr. Speaker, they are all responsible. We are a better country. We can do better. New Zealanders don't want us associating with those who will shrug off their civic responsibilities, fail their duty to their home countries, and enjoy their greed at the expense of every other citizen that works hard and has to make their way. This is not New Zealand. And New Zealanders are looking for real moral leadership. And that government, That party has demonstrated they are incapable of it because they have a leader who does not know right from wrong. And in politics, there is a right and there is a wrong. And they are on the wrong, and we do not want to have tax laws that play to the mega wealthy of the world at our expense and the expense of the countries they come from. We can do better, Mr. Speaker. We can do better. New Zealand is a better place, not under that government, but it will be better under Labour.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. The Honourable Jerry